Hello everyone, so today we are going to start with the new thinker in the thinker series, that is Luce Irigaray. And as of now we have done with many of the thinkers, which is very important for the examination purpose. So you can see the timeline as I have always started with the background of the thinker, because the background is very important to understand the ideology and the feminist thoughts or thinking given by the philosophers and the scholars. Because if you want to have a good and great understanding on the whole discourse of the women studies, then you have to understand the background of the thinkers from where they are coming, right? So let us just start with the idea of Irigaray. First of all, let us just know about the background or introduction. So who is Luce Irigaray? She is a French philosopher. First, she is coming from France. Origin is France, right? Linguist, psychoanalyst, and prominent feminist theorist, right? That she basically known for the critique. She was basically known for the critique for the Western thought, which is actually coming in the contrary of the feminist discourse or the feminist philosophy, especially that kind of thoughts which actually entertain or which actually uh, portray woman as invisible, voiceless, or derivative, right? So she is basically trained as a psychoanalyst, right? Psychoanalyst and philosopher as well. Philosopher. That's why what happened, she merged psychoanalytics with philosophy, psychoanalytic theory with post structuralism, psychoanalysis theory with post structuralism, right? Post structuralism. And with what happened, that with post structuralism, uh, with post-structuralism and feminist politics, what she did is she merged both of the thinking. Structuralism is a concept of core concept of the sociology discipline, right? So this all philosophical background of the discourse and the ideology, she used to critique or challenge the patriarchy and the society of the early 20th century, right? In the west basically she is known for the critique of the Western philosophy or Western thought, right? That, for example, she basically critique the sameness in Western thought. For example, she critiques Western philosophy of sexual difference, and she critiques Western philosophy for being male centered. As as always, the scholars and the philosophers of feminist discourse basically critique. This is the common ground where all the thinkers are converged, right? So she basically critiqued the Western thought as, being male centered and operating under the principle of the same, right? That the experience is same, the problem is same, the solution is same, right? That basically, on the other hand, the Western philosophy and the thoughts are talking about the sameness, and on the other hand, there is no equality of women, right? There is no equality of women in the society. And this means what happened, that this means the philosophical ideas have historically been built by men, I mean created by men and for men, about men, whatever you prefer, and without truly acknowledging the problem, without truly acknowledging women, right? Women as independent subject. And this is one of the major concern of all the philosophers from the start of this discipline, right? Even before that, right? So that's also repeated by the Luce Irigaray, right? In the context of Western philosophy, what she told us, the next in the row is that she always, what she talks about the situation or social position of the woman in the Western West is that women are often portrayed as mere reflections or copies of men. This is one of the important point. Reflections or copies of men. I mean, there is no independence, there is no identity, right? What happened that instead of recognizing female difference, what happened, this Western philosophy, Western thoughts, all of this development thoughts, what that they assume male experience as the universal form. The first thing, what happened consequently, what we can say, what happens that as a result, female identity is either absent or distorted, right? Which further reinforce the gender hierarchy in the society, and that's what she was challenging on that time. Then the second thing is that she wrote a book. Speculum. What? Speculum of the other woman. Speculum of the other woman in 1974, right? So in this book, what she did, she examines how women are perceived in philosophical discourse. That she uses the symbol of a speculum, right, which has two meanings, always two meanings, right? Two meanings. Getting my point? That it is a mirror. What? It is a mirror. What it means that women are seen only as a reflections of men, first as a reflection. Second, it is a genealogical instrument, right? It means that female identity is studied. But what happened, always from an androcentric perspective. And if you haven't watched the lecture of the androcentrism, then you can go back to the earlier lecture, because I guess the first lecture is about androcentrism, right? So where I have explained all about the androcentrism in very detail. So what happened that female identities was what I can say, studied, although they were a subject of study, but what happened, always from the male dominated perspective, androcentric perspective, right? So such as the medicine, psychology, or philosophy, whatever we are learning, whatever we are creating as a knowledge in the society, that would be always coming in the form of the male experience perspective and all, right? And this becomes a universal symbol. That's why she used speculum, right? Or she basically criticize this thought. And through this symbolism, what she did, she argues that women are made visible. Women are made visible only in a ways that serve male benefit or male defined narratives, right? Not as a independent subjects, or not with their own, not in their own voice. Getting my point? That's what the thing is, right? Now